This might be the most important thing you learn all week. This is the C4 AI for Executives podcast. I'm Zach Engler, Chief AI Officer for C4 Technical Services, and I'm excited to tell you today about effective ways you can roll out AI for your organization. Here's the problem most AI vendors don't want you to know or talk about. It's not your tools that are the problem. It's not your technology. It's not even your teams. It's the gap between buying a new AI service and actually deploying it and utilizing it at your business. And I see this problem everywhere. We walk into organizations and the same pattern kind of pops up every time. Basically, you've got a handful of tools spread across different teams. You've got tribal knowledge trapped in people's heads. You've got SOPs and documentation, sometimes for certain things, but other times not for other things. And executives are trying to make decisions based on instinct instead of hard data in some of those instances where speed is key. So then on top of all of that, somebody bought an AI license or an AI tool, and it's expected that that thing just gets plugged in and works and fixes everything for everybody. But that's kind of like going to buy a gym membership and then expecting to lose weight without ever showing up. So the external problems are clear. You have AI tools being deployed. They're sitting on people's desks oftentimes after the initial training runs, and the ROI is completely lacking, unclear, or foggy at best. Processes are still manual, workflows haven't changed, and people are essentially just trying to stitch together the things that they did in the past with maybe a slight amount of increased efficiency thanks to summarization or note-taking. But the real cost isn't internal. It's that feeling of we invested in this program. We've made the time to get things deployed, but we're not seeing the actual ROI that was promised from the tool, the technology, or the consultant. It's also the realization that your competitors are quickly adopting these tools. They're quickly rolling things out, maybe more effectively than you, and they're seeing the gains and results that you're missing out on. And it's that quiet worry that maybe you're falling behind. Maybe your business is falling behind. Here's what I believe. I think that if you're a leader who's willing to invest in your team and technology, you should see the results of that investment. I think AI adoption shouldn't fail just because nobody showed them the right path. And that's not a technology problem. That's really more of a leadership and support problem. So how does that play into what we do here at C4 Tech Services? So we're going to go over a few things to help make AI more clear for leadership teams and executives. We want to walk through practical AI tools and capabilities that are rolling out in real time. Then we want to showcase the business use or the value that those tools can provide for your company or organization. And then we want to roll out a practical demo throughout each of our shows. So really pare things back, showcase the value and showcase the practical application, not showcase the hype or the doom or the froth that comes with everything AI right now. At the end of the day, I want to help be your source of truth. I want to be the person that's acting as that point person for you. I want to help you figure out what tools make sense, how they get applied to your business, and then how to deploy them effectively with your teams. Now, we do this as part of our consulting service, and we're willing to come on site for this as well. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This information in the AI world is moving so quickly. Everybody deserves a touch point online for figuring out where to get started. So at C4 Technical Services, we're focused on working with organizations across manufacturing, healthcare, retail, franchise, operations, professional services, and more. So ultimately, I want to help be your point person for deciphering between AI hype and AI BS. I want to be the person that helps you figure out not only what tools make the most sense for specific business use cases, but how they can be deployed and then how to deploy them effectively to get your team to adopt and work more effectively and efficiently. We've built enterprise-grade custom AI solutions, and we really try to take a three-prong approach for how we work with our clients. These are usually Fortune 500 companies, but we will work with any business if it makes sense for us to collaborate with you. But the types of projects we look at are things like training and development. So how do we roll out AI tools effectively? Whether that's Microsoft Copilot, Google's Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity, the big five are easy to represent, and we can walk through how your teams can adopt and adapt those tools to their business workflows, to their day-to-day practice. We specialize in Microsoft Copilot and actually have pretty extensive training programs around that. But then the next piece of the puzzle is figuring out what is your AI strategy. So we do AI strategy consulting where I can come in as a fractional chief AI officer to support your business. We also do ad hoc hourly sessions, and we provide one-on-one coaching and consulting as well. All right. The last piece of the puzzle is custom AI solutions. These could be fully agentic workflows. These could be semi-autonomous automations, or they could be even things as simple as custom GPTs or Copilot agents. But the idea here is that we'll sit down and conduct an audit to figure out what makes sense for your business, what are the pieces of the puzzle for how that work gets done, and then how does AI get effectively inserted into that process without getting in the way or causing issues for your team or your business. So what does that pathway to rolling out effective AI look like? At C4, we take a 3-step approach, and we call it the crawl, walk, run approach. In the crawl phase, we sit down with your teams and we go through extensive training with real world business use cases and practical examples of things that they can literally deploy either during the session or immediately after or the next day. The idea is we want to rip off that Band-Aid. We want to stop talking about theory and stop talking about menus and tools and start talking about the actual ways employees can get real world value out of these tools and capabilities. The training programs essentially help lay the groundwork for everybody at your company getting a basic understanding of how generative AI works. It's absolutely crucial that that approach gets taken first, and I'll explain why in a minute. The second part of the puzzle we call the walk stage. Once your teams are up to speed and they start developing the capabilities to interact with generative AI effectively, then we'll look at how do we stitch departments together? How do we create efficiencies across teams? How do we start leveraging AI and automations to help tie those teams together and make your business more effective? Once the walk stage is established, everybody has that universal understanding of how the tools work. Everybody starts seeing the opportunities for where they can connect together. Then we can look at rolling out custom AI solutions that can help at a macro scale or even on a client-facing side. This is the approach that works, and we've tested it for over a year. I've done over 50 trainings within 2025, and we saw some pretty amazing results with this approach. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can look at MIT studies that were done last year on the deployment of AI tools as well. A very infamous one that launched in September of last year showcased that 95% of AI initiatives at major corporations failed. Why did they fail? Well, because the executives and the leaders and the teams at those businesses tried to start at the run stage. They tried to deploy custom AI tools that nobody understood. There wasn't any sort of policy or alignment on how teams would leverage them across different departments. And at the end of the day, there was also a sense of fear and mistrust instilled in the teams because they didn't know if that tool was going to replace what they do for work. So we have some thoughts on this philosophy, and I can touch on that in a minute as well. But this idea that if you take the crawl, walk, run approach, is it slower? Yes. Is it time consuming? Absolutely. Is it a lot of work? Definitely. But I'm here to tell you as your executive AI coach that you got to build the muscle. This is a whole new skill set that nobody has figured out how to use effectively quite yet. There's teams that are at the forefront of this, but they're still very early in this process. And I'm here to tell you right now that if you're on board with this approach and you're willing to get your teams up to speed, you are not late yet. I think by the end of 2026, things will start getting a little more dicey in terms of being able to keep up. But at the end of the day, getting your teams on board, getting them the tools and capabilities they need with generative AI right now is an absolutely crucial step to the success of your business in the long run. AI is not slowing down. AI is not going anywhere. It is a part of how things get done. And just like in 1983, when thousands of people had a computer dropped on their desk, they had no clue how to use it. But teams spent time, they figured it out, they trained, and they became that much more effective. I'm telling you right now, if you go back to using that typewriter, it's not going to work in the long run. It's time to step forward. It's time to start looking at how these tools can make a difference for your business. So up next, I want to talk to you about what our trainings look like and what the results look like. When it comes to our trainings, we offer a handful of different opportunities for executives, for teams, and for individuals. When it comes to executives, we have a half day and a full day AI briefing experience that walks you through either 3 modules or 7 modules, 1 hour apiece, of how AI sustainably, securely, and effectively gets rolled out to your business. When it comes to teams and your wider organization, we offer a handful of different trainings, everything from how to utilize Microsoft Copilot effectively to a more general, just AI 101 and AI 201 course set, to then more focused agent development and how to write code or develop software with AI effectively. The last training that we offer is a half day that's pretty much universal for anybody in a manager level and up, and it's called the How to Build an AI First Organization training. We custom tailor it to your business. You're not going to get some junior trainer and you're not going to get some templated text. You're going to get a custom made training for your specific company. We're going to look at what are your core values and how does that map to the utilization of AI. We're then going to look at prompting techniques and how to roll those out effectively based on the different employee mix that you have. Then we're going to take a look at mapping out workflows and standard operating procedures and how to effectively pick apart all of that tribal knowledge that's happening in your business. And then lastly, we're going to close with establishing a documented workflow tracker in SharePoint or the productivity tool of your choice. But the idea is, at the end of the day, not only will you have a custom tailored plan for how AI fits into your specific business, but you'll start already with a framework for how you can track the ROI, how you can document, here's our existing manual processes, and here's what a difference AI made, and the ROI that goes along with that. The bigger your organization, the more effective that tool is as well, because now you can start making the case to other members of the company, other members of the board, and start really showcasing the value that you're driving through AI. Where does this lead to? Well, what we've seen is across the board with the over 50 different trainings we rolled out last year, teams saw an average performance boost of 36%. Like, think about that for a second. The average performance of team members utilizing these tools and techniques that are taught in these trainings saw a 36% productivity boost. In the worst case scenario, bottom level performers were only getting a 10% productivity boost. That's still 4 hours back in a work week. When you think about the idea that your worst performers are going to have an extra 4 hours to do more work, that's phenomenal in and of itself. But the average performer was at 36%. Top performers, people who are hungry for these AI tools, people who are willing to dive in and learn and try and go find external resources and start pulling that in, an 80% productivity gain. The capabilities and the things that you can do with that level of productivity are astounding. And that is literally just with 3 things. Number 1, your teams need access to a large language model. Again, this could be ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Copilot, Perplexity. As long as it's a solid and protected, secure large language model, it'll work. Number 2, teams need the ability to transcribe their meetings, whether that's with clients and customers or internally. Transcription of meetings is absolutely crucial in this day and age because there is so much business context that happens in meetings that the AI needs help to understand and then allows teams to move much more effectively and much more fluidly through the different projects that they're tackling. The last piece of the puzzle, number 3, is effective prompting techniques. That's where C4 technical services come in. That's where our training programs come in. Teams might have great resources. They might have initial capabilities to write decent prompts, but our training and methodology walks you through extensive prompt types to make sure that your teams not only have an understanding of the fundamentals of good prompting and how to interact with these generative AI systems, but they understand how to start layering different prompt types and capabilities together so that instead of just being able to write 1 or 2 prompts and use those on a regular basis, or even consult a prompt library, they have a fundamental understanding of how to communicate with large language models and generative AI tools, and they can really start maximizing that from day 1. All right, so now we've talked about some of the training programs that we offer. Those training programs really lay that foundational layer so that your teams can go from 0 to the crawl stage and get comfortable in that crawl stage. Then we can look at moving into the walk stage. That's the part where we start looking at custom automations or custom tools to bring departments together. That's when we start realizing even stronger productivity gains. So in the crawl stage, if you're experiencing anywhere from 30 to 80% productivity gains with just a large language model, meeting transcription, and solid prompting techniques, in the walk stage, you're starting to look at 150 to 300% productivity gains through the result of interconnected, interdepartment business automations. The last piece of the puzzle is the run stage, those custom AI solutions. In that stage, we're seeing anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500% productivity boosts. That's why so many executives wanted to roll out those custom AI tools, as they heard that number first and they said, start there. But you can't get there without laying the foundation, bringing people together, and then rolling out the custom tools once everybody has a solid understanding of how everything works, and more importantly, what part they play in this whole picture. Because if you don't do that, you will have people who won't come along for the ride. You will have stalwarts that won't see the value in this. You'll have people that will intentionally sabotage projects in some cases because they don't understand how they fit in the picture. All right, so that's the last piece of the puzzle that I want to cover here today. Where do your teams fit into all of this? And how are you as an executive thinking about AI with the right mindset? Now, for some of you that have publicly traded companies and balance sheets and boards to report to, you might be thinking about this a little bit differently than I do, and that's okay, but it's wrong. When I say a team member or a team or a company can realize 30% productivity gains, I know for a fact there's some CFOs watching this right now who are thinking, great, we can cut headcount 30%. That's backwards. It's the completely wrong way to start thinking about how these AI tools impact your business. They're not meant to serve as a tool to hobble the capabilities of your teams. The only reason you're seeing larger organizations do mass layoffs right now is because they're oftentimes seeing a benefit to their balance sheet and a benefit to their stock price, first and foremost, without realizing that there is a whole slew of market share and capabilities at their fingertips that they're not able to capitalize on. So what do I mean by that? Think of it this way, 1,000 employees, and you now have a 30% productivity boost. Instead of trimming back to 700 employees, you should be thinking about how you can keep those 1,000 employees and get them to act like 1,300 employees. What new capabilities do they have? What new resources can they pursue? And in fact, if you start rolling out those interdepartmental capabilities and those custom AI solutions, you can turn those 1,000 people into 10,000 people. This sounds crazy, but the hype is real when it comes to doing this effectively, and the capabilities are there. The problem is the disconnection, like we talked about at the beginning of this show, between the understanding of what the tools can do and the actual practice of rolling them out effectively and building that muscle. So that idea that cutting headcount might look great for a short-term period, but I'm telling you right now, if you're the type of business that wants to win in the long run, if you're the type of business that wants to have an AI-first organization that truly maximizes the capabilities of your team, you're going to start thinking with a growth mindset and, more importantly, a scaling mindset. This ability to scale the existing team you have to a completely new level. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, this is a podcast that you'll want to definitely pay attention to. And C4 Technical Services is a company you're definitely going to want to work with. Why do I say this? Well, we're the practical practitioners who have been rolling out this approach and seeing the results in real time. So I want to be straightforward with what's at stake here. Organizations that figure out AI adoption in the next 12 to 18 months will likely create a gap between themselves and their competition that over the course of the next 2 years will be insurmountable. Depending on how big your moat is and depending on what type of work your company does, maybe that time frame is a little bit longer, maybe that time frame is a little bit shorter. We're already seeing SaaS companies get decimated in the stock market because people are realizing that a lot of these AI tools can do a lot of the things that those companies promised, but they can do them at much faster timescales and they can customize them to their business needs. That's the level of progress that we want to help roll out for your organization. That's the mindset that we want to help deploy across your teams. Not to look at AI as some major threat to employability, but to look at AI as a people maximizing tool that enhances their skills, enhances their career prospects, and through that then enhances your business and allows you to grow and scale to whole new levels. If any of this resonates with you, then here's the next steps you can take to help get started. Number one, schedule a free discovery call with C4 Technical Services and myself. We'll walk through not only where your business is at, but then where your business can go. If you're brand new to AI, we will get you started on the crawl path. We will get you a whole slew of training opportunities that'll make sense for your business to pick from, and we'll get you off and crawling. If you've already established the crawl stage and you already have some established best practices, policies, and capabilities with AI, then we can start at that walk stage. We can look at what are the other tools that you might want to consider? What are the other capabilities you might want to create across teams? How could that center of AI excellence look for your business? And if you're already at the walk stage, we can then dive into the run stage and look at how could we develop custom AI tools and solutions in as little as 4 to 6 weeks for your organization to then deploy and maximize. If you're not ready for a discovery call or Teams meeting just yet, that's totally fine. Maybe you want to do a little bit more research. Great. One tool that can help you with that is if you head over to our website, c4techservices.com, and take our AI readiness assessment. The assessment takes about 10 minutes to complete, and it'll walk you through not only what you should be thinking about, but where your company is currently at with AI adoption, and then how C4 can help complement you with that. That being said, if you don't even want to take that measure or that step, if anything else, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or follow me. I'm regularly sharing AI updates, capabilities, tools, tips, tricks, and best practices that you can leverage on a daily basis. So whether you want to train your teams, align your leadership, or build something custom, the path forward is the same. C4 Technical Services will help guide you down that pathway. We want to be your AI guru, helping you cut through the noise, helping you focus on what makes sense for your organization and your business, and most importantly, for your teams. I'm Zach Engler, Chief AI Officer here at C4 Technical Services. I look forward to sharing future podcasts with you where we will go through AI tools, capabilities, business use cases, and real-world demos. We're also going to look at launching some interview features as well, where we'll bring in executives of the companies that we're working with, talk about the AI that they're deploying, and figure out from the real-world use cases what makes sense for businesses here and now so that you can start planning for the future. For the time being, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll have some really exciting stuff coming up in the not-too-distant future. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.